You're someone with a vision for your practice, for your side hustle, and for your personal journey. But when it comes to establishing your path on how to get to where you want to be with your practice, things get a little messy. You're also someone who'd prefer to go in person instead of to groups and listening to everyone else's story. To me, it sounds like you could benefit from one-on-one consulting with our experienced practice of the practice consultants. From $5.95 a month and up, you can work with a consultant that will give you more direction and practical tried and tested tips matched to you and your goals. For more information, visit practiceofthepractice.com/apply. Again, that's practiceofthepractice.com/apply. This is the Practice of the Practice podcast with Joe Sanok, session number 1384. I'm Joe Sanok, your host, and welcome to the Practice of the Practice podcast, where we help you build a thriving private practice you absolutely love. So we do all sorts of things on the show to talk about business, to talk about growing your practice, to talk about clinical work, to talk about just becoming a better human. That's interesting to me. It's interesting to you. We want to just continue to look at ourselves and say, like, how do we accept ourselves how we are while also recognizing that there's probably some growth points. So today, as you may have saw in the title, we're going to be talking about psychedelics, which my attorney wants me to remind you, for the most part, are federally illegal here in the United States. Therefore, what we're talking about today, please make sure you just think through all of that and make sure you check with your codes of ethics, your licensing. I'm not an attorney or an accountant. Make sure you consult with your attorney or accountant before you do anything that we talk about today. So really excited today. I have Kate Kincaid with me, who is a licensed psychotherapist and executive business coach with group practices in Arizona and Utah. She specializes in working with LGBTQIA2S+ clients, people in ethically non-monogamous relationships, entrepreneurs, and people seeking psychedelic integration therapy. She's currently writing a ketamine-assisted psychotherapy companion book for New Harbinger Press. Kate, welcome to the Practice of the Practice podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
It's always so fun to have people on the show that I've met in person, because I feel like there's just like a different energy. And having met you down in the Dominican Republic with our 7-figure practice retreat and just got to know you a little bit, I feel like we just didn't have enough time with anyone, but it's so great to have you on the show.
Yeah.
Well, today our primary focus is psychedelics, and would love to just start with where does the story begin for you when it comes to your interest in psychedelics and therapy?
Yeah. So I've had an interest in psychedelics since high school. I was definitely partaking in the experiences, not so intentionally or consciously, I mean, but I kind of put that aside when I went to grad school and kind of grew up. And then I was a therapist in 2010, and it was about 2015 I was actually at Burning Man and heard about the Zendo project through MAPS, which is psychedelic harm reduction at like festivals, and saw that they had a whole training program and learned that MAPS is what MAPS was doing with MDMA research and bringing it to clinical use. And so that was when I realized I could probably meld an old personal interest of mine with my current clinical practice. And I started advertising myself as doing psychedelic integration, just helping people make sense of their experiences and prepare for more experiences that they were going to have. And yeah, that's where it all started.
Yeah, well, so I'm a dad of 2 kids that are not yet 18 to make any choices around psychedelics. I came to the game super late. Like when I turned 40, I read Michael Pollan's book. I'm like, I've always been interested in this, but I had the whole, if you do psychedelics, you'll think you're a glass of orange juice for the rest of your life propaganda, know? So,
yeah.
So, and we all heard that story about the guy that thinks he's a glass of orange juice and will never lay down. It's like this crazy 80s, 90s story that's so stupid. So I guess for you as a young person, and I'm not saying you should tell me to promote this to my kids, but like, what do you think it did for you doing psychedelics earlier, even if it wasn't as mindful, but like, what did that do to your brain in regards to how you approached adulthood?
such a good question. I mean, I wish, maybe this isn't really the answer to your question, but I wish I had guidance back then of like, oh, here's how you can use these substances and how you can make sense of them. We were just teaching each other as other kids, and so I didn't have any like profound, insights or realizations. I had a lot of fun. I loved myself and the people I was with when I was on these medicines, but like I said, I feel like there was such a missed opportunity because it wasn't done intentionally, and nothing was integrated afterwards. So the medicines themselves, they're like non-specific amplifiers is what some people call them, and so it's going to just amplify what's going on. If you're in a good set and setting and having fun with people that you love, that's just going to be amplified. But if people who have had traumatic experiences on them because they were not in a safe set and setting, or something happened while they were on those medicines, that's amplified also. And so there's like great opportunity and also great risk. And so I just wish I had the guidance. And then even if I wish all people have the guidance now, whether they're an adult or a teenager exploring these. I think there's more guidance now, like just with the internet. Like I didn't have access to the internet at that time too. So,
Yeah.
you can find, tips for how to have a good experience, and there's hotlines you can call if you're having a hard experience, which I didn't have at that time either. So there's just a lot more support and resources now.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your ketamine assisted therapy, and then we'll talk about other psychedelics as well. But you've been doing that as well. You're adding couples ketamine and EMDR ketamine. I guess for those that maybe aren't familiar with ketamine, what is ketamine? Right now, explain kind of the legality from your point of view regarding that, and then we can dig into some other spots. I have interesting questions. Hopefully interesting questions.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so ketamine is an anesthetic, so it can be used in surgery. And then some of the early research in ketamine, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago at this point, was noticing that it was being used in IV for pain, because it does reduce pain. That's why it's used as an anesthetic. And they were noticing the antidepressant effects afterwards. So now it's being used off-label as something for treatment-resistant depression, PTSD, anxiety. But it's a synthetic molecule. It can be taken a variety of routes, IV, IM, sublingual. And it's not a classic psychedelic because it works on a different neurotransmitter system. So it doesn't work on serotonin, which is also a really benefit of ketamine, is that you don't have to go off of your SSRIs to engage with ketamine because it works on a completely different system. But it has all the same classic hallmarks of psychedelics, like the subjective experience, time is altered, altered proprioception, so your body feels different. There's visuals for some people. So I consider it a psychedelic. There's a little bit of a debate about that.
Yeah. How long does the experience typically last?
Ketamine's pretty short acting, especially compared to other psychedelics like LSD or MDMA or psilocybin. It's like an hour and a half from the psychoactive period. Yeah,
Okay.
so at our clinic we do, like for psychedelic cap sessions, we do 3 hour sessions because that's enough
Okay.
time to come in, check in, take the medicine, and then do integration afterwards.
Yeah. And what's it take to become a ketamine assisted therapist?
Well, there's no official guidelines right now, but I think that you should do at least like a 2 to 4 day training, preferably an experiential training where you receive the medicine yourself, because it has a unique feeling and unique signature, and it's really helpful to work with clients if you've had that experience yourself.
hmm And
Yeah.
tell me what's shifted in the past like few years. Like I know, like in the past that wasn't something that really we could do like within the boundaries of the law. Like, what's your understanding of kind of what shifted where now it's been opened up more?
Yeah. I mean, so ketamine is legal in all 50 states through a prescription, but I definitely feel like the norms have changed in the last several years of I think just the psychedelic movement and the clinical use. Like just people reading Michael Pollan's book, people reading about the research. It's in a lot of the popular magazines, and so there's been a shift even in the therapy field too of like this is a medicine that can work and we should know more about it, we should train about it. And then just that idea that we should take the medicines too if we're going to be working with them, I feel like that's also shifted a little
Mm-hmm.
bit, or gotten more accepted in the therapy world.
Yeah. Now, so then the client gets like a prescription from their doctor and then it gets like shipped to them or shipped to you. How does all that work?
Yeah. So if so there's different routes, like I said. So you can do sublingual, so that's like a troche, it's like a lozenge that would be picked up through a pharmacy. So like in our town, we have our nurse practitioner do the assessment, write the script, they go pick it up at the pharmacy and bring it to our office, and then they self-administer the medicine, so they like put it in their own mouth. We also have our nurse practitioner who can do IM, which is like a shot in the muscle, to administer the ketamine that way.
Hmm. So tell me, like, what do you see happening with clients or when you've experienced it? Like, what do you feel like shifts when they're using ketamine in therapy and especially like couples work and EMDR work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so ketamine, I think, tempers the limbic system. So it just kind of quiets, and also quiets the default mode network. There's been some research about that. So the default mode network is like your personality, your like belief systems, which sometimes can get rigid. And so it kind of just softens all that. So there's more openness, more flexibility. You can see yourself in a different light, see your partner or people in your life in a little bit of a different light. There's like, I call it witness consciousness. I notice that happens during the session and afterwards, where the person's kind of like watching themselves and how they interact. So there's a little bit of space, I would say.
Hmm. Can
Yeah.
you like walk us through? And I know a lot of this is kind of like basic in the psychedelic world, but I think a lot of folks listening maybe haven't even read Michael Pollan's book sometimes, so it's nice to just kind of make sure we all have the same working language. When you think
Hmm.
about ketamine, MDMA, psilocybin, LSD, ayahuasca, I'd say those are probably the most popular five. I mean, we could go into like ibogaine and all that. We do have episodes from our psychedelic series that dig really deep into every single one of those. So those were,
Cool.
500 episodes ago, or so. But
Wow.
so about a year and a half ago, I think we did that. But
Cool.
take us through again, just kind of what each of the experiences tends to be like with each of those five.
Okay. Let's see. So from ketamine, like I said, it's shorter acting, but the experience is usually like some people say, like a general feeling of like okayness, like, oh, I'm okay, everything's okay. I just like acceptance or peace. And there is, because it's anxiolytic, like I said, it tempers the limbic system. People feel calmer. They can access traumatic material or things that they may be working on, but they're like not getting flooded in their body. They're not feeling overwhelmed because it's like that anesthetic quality. It's like you're calm, you're relaxed, you feel like sedated a little bit. So I feel like that's kind of the signature of ketamine. It's not true for everyone. People can have all different experiences on it, but that's what I see as common. Um, MDMA is more like empathogenic, so you're more like turned outward, connected, lots of love, it's like kind of energizing. You want to dance, you want to move, you want to talk. Um, and then psilocybin, I don't even know. Psilocybin is wild. I feel like it's like there's so much duality. There's so much like fun and silliness and like also like heaviness, or like that you see like the hard stuff in your life, in the
Mhm.
world, both at the same time. So it's kind of, what's the word, like just frenetic.
Mhm.
um what were the other two?
Yeah.
LSD.
Well, yeah, and I would agree with that around psilocybin. One person kind of
Mm-hmm.
said, well, because it kind of grows in community, it kind of looks funny, it like is misshapen. It's sort of like has this personality almost as like a jokester where it'll use the
Yeah.
negative and the positive and kind of like be playful, but also like allow you to like get into it deeper.
Absolutely. Yeah. The jokester, trickster energy
Yeah.
for sure
Yeah,
for
I remember one time I
psilocybin.
was doing a guided experience. It was actually during the pandemic, and we had the person quarantine that came and did the ceremony, and I remember being like, Loki is the real god, like it's all a joke, and but it just was this like interesting like joining of like there's so much. I mean, it was in the middle of like a global pandemic, and I'm just like it's okay to laugh
Hmm.
and it's okay, and you can also still feel terrible about what's going on in the world. So yeah, so
Oh,
LSD and
yeah.
ayahuasca.
Oh, yeah. I'm just feeling what you just said about psilocybin. Like, it's okay to laugh, and even when things are terrible. And I feel like that's like needed right now, too. Or
Mhm.
like, it's a good medicine. It's a good medicine almost all the time, but like right now, it's great. Um, okay, LSD. I don't know. I feel like LSD is kind of like a combo of psilocybin and MDMA. It's like very energizing, activating, fun, also like kind of weird and trippy, which sounds silly to even say the word trippy, but
Hmm.
it's like the best way to describe it. I don't know. Um, and then ayahuasca, yeah. Um, yeah, ayahuasca, like, it depends how it's being done, obviously, set and
Mhm.
setting. But I tend to see ayahuasca as more like, you're on your own mat, you're in kind of your own world, you're in a circle of other people doing it, but you're not like talking to each other or like interacting with each other so much. It's like an internal journey, and it's like a whole, you're traveling to other realms and tapping into some ancestral and yeah, like universal consciousness stuff on your
Mhm.
mat.
Yeah. Now you had said
It's
before
so
we
hard to
started.
explain. All of them are so like ineffable. It's just
Oh,
hard to
totally.
explain.
You'd give any words to it. I someone also
Hmm.
described to me that ayahuasca, because it's like a vine, it can like it literally is a vine, but it can get to those like dark parts that sometimes we don't want to get to. And in my experience, that's been very true to really allow myself to feel some terrible pain, but also to like let go of some terrible pain too.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it's a purgative, so it is about like purging, getting rid of, letting go of things.
Yeah.
And the physicality of the ayahuasca too is, I think, unique.
Yeah.
Because it's so physical and you're out of control of your body to an extent, of like just your bodily functions, vomiting.
Yeah.
That's really hard for a lot of people to like let yourself vomit, even.
Yeah. I was really
Mhm.
scared of that, and it's amazing how it felt like it was like part of like the hero's journey. Like you've got to go through this to get to the other side. Now
Yeah.
you said before we started recording, and you said that I could bring this up, that you're getting ready to go do a journey, an ayahuasca journey. Tell me about the prep for you. And I know every group is different, but like kind of what's that lineage do to prepare you for that?
Yeah, that's a good question, and you're reminding me. Yeah, I mean, there's diet. So there's things that you need to remove from your diet. Not only just what you're eating, but like what you're consuming from media, what you're listening to, people you're interacting with, to kind of like, again, it's starting the like purging process or the purification process of like, cutting things out that might be yeah, not in your best interest. So I'm doing some of that work right now. I should always be doing more. I'm always like kicking myself. I think that's part of my process too. Is like I should be prepping more. I should be doing this, and then even when I'm there and I'm feeling so sick, I'm always like kind of blaming myself. Like I should have done better on the diet or whatever. So I just know that that's part of it. It's like I'm already in the medicine portal now. Like things that are coming up are already teaching me things about myself. So that's kind of what I'm just trying to pay attention to, those signs, and journal and take note of what's coming up already.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Something always comes up when you're running a private practice. Well, Gusto's payroll and HR services can make it a little easier. Gusto was designed for you, the small business owner. They take the pain out of running a business, automatically calculating paychecks, filing payroll taxes, setting up open enrollment. Gusto does it all. Want more? Time tracking, health insurance, 401k, onboarding, commuter benefits, offer letters, access to HR experts. You get the idea. With Gusto, you can focus on the joy of running your business. It's super easy to set up and get started. And if you're moving from another provider, Gusto can transfer all the data for you. It's no surprise 99% of businesses said the value they get for Gusto is worth the price. And here's the best part. Because you're a listener, you get 3 months totally free. All you have to do is go to gusto.com/Joe. Again, that's gusto.com/Joe. I'm telling you, you're going to love Gusto. Get started today. Now, I want to go back to just some of the couples work in EMDR. Like, as you develop that, how is it similar and how is it different to when you're doing the individual work by adding in the EMDR or by adding in the couples work?
Mm-hmm. So with both couples in EMDR, it would be a lower dose of ketamine, so it'd be more of a psycholytic dose. Because when you're on a psychedelic dose of ketamine, you are kind of in your own world and you're not interacting, so you can't really process. Like, I mean, you're processing on your own, but you can't do like a guided process like EMDR is very like active and like you have to do the BLS and follow the prompts. And then same with couples, like the point is to talk to each other and like have a couples session, and so you can't be on too much ketamine for that to happen. So that's the main difference, is a much lower dose so that you're able to have your eyes open, sitting up, talking, and then like from the outside looking in, it may look no different than a regular couples session or a regular EMDR session. The person might be like a little slower to talk or maybe like sitting a little more slouched, but that's the main difference that I see.
Mm. And is it typically just like one session and then like you kind of recover and then you come back another week, or is it like an intensive where you do multiples, or yeah?
Could be either. Yeah, it kind of depends on what's going on and how much time or energy people have to devote to the process, and how much time they need to integrate what came up in the process. You know, like some people, like even in our clinic with our psychedelic cap, we started weekly. Like that was kind of our recommendation to people, like do 6 cap sessions weekly.
Mm.
So you do a 3-hour cap session and then 2 days later, 1 to 2 days later, do a 1-hour integration and then do that again next week. But for a lot of people, we were finding that was too much. Like they didn't have enough time to like really sit with everything that came up in the last session and like integrate it into their life and try to like see how they're living differently. So we've stretched it out for a lot of people to like every 2 weeks, sometimes even once a month.
Now, what do you
Yeah.
think about, like, I mean, I see all these ads, and of course, whenever there's money to be made, you'll see not the correct way of maybe doing things. But, like, people that do online ketamine assisted therapy where it's like mailed to them and they do it online. Like, do you feel like having experienced what people are like person to person, that's effective? Is that safe? Is it like to turn off your computer and know that person's still coming down from ketamine? Like, would you feel good about that? Like, tell me about like the safety and the effectiveness of when you see people do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on all that. Like, um, the pro of that is accessibility. You know,
Hmm.
people live rural, maybe people won't leave their house, whatever. There's like reasons why that might be a good idea for some people. But for the majority of people, I don't love that model. I feel like it's kind of like reinforcing or like reliving isolation and just even the fact that it's like some people are doing the ketamine all on their own and then just integrating later with a therapist. Like I think, I don't know, it's just such a missed opportunity for like real time in person like repatterning
Mm.
processing like during the ketamine. So that's not how I practice it. I don't I think it's just, like I said, a missed opportunity. And I worry about people who are falling through the cracks, you
Hmm.
know, and not getting the support that they need, like in some of these huge mail order ketamine places
Yeah.
that are just shipping it out to anyone and like it's like, what's happening with those people? Are they getting any support? Are they talking about this with anyone? Or are they just using ketamine, like watching Netflix? You know, it's
Right.
like nobody know, or not. I don't know, nobody knows, but like, I just think, I don't know. It's like I said, a missed opportunity.
Hmm. Yeah. What about, I've had some folks on recently. Let me see which episodes they were when we were talking about kind of what we're getting wrong with just addictions in general.
Mhm.
I would have to scan through. It was in the last, few months. But the idea of abstinence only for like, whether it's like alcohol or NA or things like that. Um, what are your thoughts on when people say, well, I'm an addict, I can't do ketamine. I'm an addict, I can't do psychedelics. Like, I'm sober, I'm not going to do that. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's such a good thing to consider. I I personally think like it can, I mean, it's like anything. It can be used for good or for harm. You know, it's like how you're using it, when you're using it. If you're using it to escape, that's addictive or compulsive, you know, or to avoid something you need to look at. Or if you're using the medicine to go in and to look at yourself and to do this work and make hard changes in your life. So I feel like ketamine specifically, I mean, it can be a drug of abuse. People have misused it. People have ketamine addictions. It doesn't, it's not dependent like opioids or benzos, but people
Mhm.
are definitely misusing ketamine. And so I think, you know, when somebody is recovering or trying to recover from a substance use disorder, there should be caution of like not having a bunch at home, not taking it when you're not planning to take it. And that's why, again, I think it's so important to like do it like in the setting like we're doing it, like with your therapist. You're only doing it like in this setting. So you're kind of like repatterning this habit of like using more and more to escape, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah. Can you bill
Hmm.
insurance or can people have a super bill for the therapist's time when they're doing it?
Yeah, you could bill like 1 hour of it. That's the thing with insurance is they'll only cover 1 90837 or 1 hour of therapy a day.
Hmm.
But yeah, it is. And again, like I said, it's off label, but you're doing just therapy with it. So it's
Yeah,
like ketamine or not, you're doing the therapy, so you can
sure.
bill for that.
Okay.
Hmm.
I mean, what what gets you excited about psychedelics and what the world is becoming and the world of therapy and all that intersection of this topic?
Um, I'm just so excited. Like in our clinic, we see such improvement with people like you know people who have been doing EMDR, doing sensory motor, doing therapy for years and years, and they have improved and they're doing better than they were. But then the ketamine is kind of like we've seen it be such a springboard on the work that they've already done, and
Mhm.
just kind of like yeah, just accelerates the growth. I haven't clinically worked with other medicines, so I can't speak on that, but I know some of the other research is saying similar things
Mhm.
for psilocybin, for MDMA. So I'm just excited about the progress people can make, especially with these treatment resistant conditions or like things that are really just that ruminative, like getting stuck in such a cycle. It just kind of helps get out of that cycle, like shake things up, like a snow globe, kind of. I've heard it described.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So you mentioned at the beginning ketamine, you don't have to get off SSRIs. For MDMA, psilocybin, LSD, ayahuasca, those ones you all do typically need to be off of SSRIs.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the issue, like, there's the concern of serotonin syndrome, because those medicines are serotonergic, so they are like bringing more serotonin into the system. I, my understanding is that serotonin syndrome is extremely rare. The real more common experience is that people aren't going to feel those medicines if they're on
Mhm.
an SSRI. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess
Hmm.
if people are hearing this and they either personally want to find a guide or they want to become a guide or like so often, at least from my experience, it's like this clearly underground kind of thing of like quiet referrals to each other. Um, other than just asking your friends that you think do psychedelics, what are the legit ways to like find places that are doing this outside of the country legally or things like that? Like, I feel like, how do you find a place that has a good reputation? Because they may have a million Google reviews, but then I've been to, all inclusives that had great Google reviews and they weren't great, like, so like, how do you
Hmm.
even like find legit places to go or to work with?
Yeah, it is. It's a good question. I mean, I think there's the Google reviews I'm always like take with a grain of salt, but like there's definitely like groups like Facebook groups or Discord channels. Again, it's like how do you find the right ones of those? But if
Hmm.
you join a lot of them and you look at them and you can like if you find like a place you want to go to outside of the country, you can put that name into all those groups and like see what other people are saying about it.
Hmm.
If you can never find somebody that has done it already, that's like the best way to get like how was their experience. Yeah. I'm even just thinking for myself, like I am connected to the underground in a way. And like with clients, like I feel like a translator sometimes, and it's like I
Hmm.
have to be careful because I am licensed, I have a business,
Hmm.
I don't give referrals, but I also like from a harm reduction standpoint, it's like if they're going to go to a place that I've heard bad things about, I'm going to try to
Yeah.
say like, hey, I've not heard great things, or I can give you, more information on where to find like the reviews of that place. So it's like a delicate line to walk.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Yeah.
one thing I do want to say that anyone that's interested in this, I think listening to there's a podcast called Cover Story that I think is put up by New York
Mm.
Times or something like that. They did a whole season on the underbelly of psychedelics, which is my guide said, if you want to dip your toes into any of this, like you have to listen to this. And it was just so good to
Mm.
hear about just places that were doing it really poorly and that were like really using positions of power when people were vulnerable to do some terrible things. And so to just make sure that you like educate yourself, and if you're interested in becoming a guide or becoming licensed or becoming trained or any of those things, to just make sure you kind of get the whole picture instead of just the starry-eyed like I want to help host journeys. Like it's like, well, there's a little more
Hmm.
to it than that. So Kate,
Absolutely.
the last question I always ask is, if every private practitioner in the world were listening, what would you want them to know?
Uh, I mean, I just encourage people to follow their passions. Like even psychedelics, some people were like, "Oh, don't advertise that you do that." Like back in 2015 when I did it. And I'm
Mm.
like, "Well, but it's a passion of mine, it's an interest of mine, so I'm just going to put it out there." And it attracted the right clients, it attracted the right coworkers, the right people in my circle, and now we have a thriving like psychedelic focused practice. And so be brave, put yourself out there for like what your interests and passions are, and it's kind of like a beacon to like bring more people to you that are
Mhm.
aligned.
Yeah, no, so awesome. Kate, if people want to connect with you, if they want to work with you, where should we send them?
My practice in Arizona is Tucson Counseling Associates. So that's the website, TucsonCounselingAssociates.com, or my practice in Utah is Soma Psychotherapy SLC, so Salt Lake City.com.
So awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I think having discussions like this in community, not just on the show, but with other therapists is so important. And that's why being a part of the Practice Academy is just a great fit for every single one of you. We have 3 tracks there. We have Sustainable Solo Practice, Group Practice Launch, and Sustainable Group Practice. And within Sustainable Group Practice, we do have our 7-Figure Practice Club, which is all for 7-figure practice owners. So whether you're just getting going or you have a 7 or multi 7-figure practice, we have a community for you. There's one fee right now at this time. It's $195 a month, and you get full access to the Practice Academy, all of our courses, all of our live meetings. We have 3 live ones a week minimum. Then we also have all sorts of book clubs and conversations going on top of that. So if you want more community, head on over to practiceofthepractice.com/membership. You can book a tour there. Sarah will walk you around, show you kind of what the Practice Academy is like, all of the virtual academy that we have there. Also, we couldn't do this show without our sponsor. Today's episode was sponsored by Gusto. Gusto is who we use for our payroll solutions. I absolutely love it because it helps do all the taxes and file everything, and I don't have to worry about having a whole accounting team or bookkeeping team that's doing that payroll. So try gusto.com/Joe. You're going to get 3 months totally free. It's going to help you with your payroll and so many other things like doing open enrollment, filing payroll taxes, calculating paychecks, all that sort of stuff you can do with Gusto. Again, that's gusto.com/Joe. Thank you so much for letting me into your ears and into your brain. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Special thanks to the band Silence is Sexy for that intro music, and this podcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regard to the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the host, the producers, the publishers, or guests are rendering legal, accounting, clinical, or other professional information. If you want a professional, you should find one.